Hi, you're listening to Martin, and this is another video in which we're looking at getting started with OpenInsight 10. And in this video, we're going to be looking at getting the tab control working. So if you haven't got OpenInsight already running, launch it, open up the MP Patience form, and then the first thing that we're going to do to illustrate this is I'm going to go to page 2 and drop on a static text. We'll call this page 2, and then if we test run this form and we click on the tabs, you'll see that we don't actually move to page 2. So we need a little bit of code to enable us to do that. So if we go back to page 1, select the tab control, we want events and we want the click event, and we want to turn on the script editor, and then I'm just going to paste in some code that I've just copied in. And this code is going to get the value from the tab control and then set the Windows vertical position according to whichever tab that we've clicked on. So if we do a compile and make sure that that has compiled, and then we'll save and close. And then the second bit of code that we needs to go on to the Windows scroll event. And if we turn on the event script and we copy that code in, this will set the window to show the forms page that's associated with the tab control. So again, if we compile that, it's compiled, and we save and close. This time when we test run our form, with any luck, we now jump over to page 2. Now we've got a problem in that we can't get back to page 1. But that's not an issue for us because we'll fix that right now. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do to correct a few things in here is grab all of these controls, and we'll set those to be all pages true. And the tab control, we also want that to be all pages true. There we go. And then if we test run it now, then you'll find that as we go across, we keep the controls at the top, and we do actually move between the two tabs. So that's good news. Now, obviously having tab 1 and tab 2 doesn't look overly pretty. So let's have a look at what we need to do to tidy this up. And it's pretty simple, really. Over on tabs, if we just open up the tab dialog, we've got tab 1, tab 2, and a few little details in here. So I'm going to rename tab 1, and this is going to be patient details. I can't type and talk at the same time. Tab 2 is going to be comments, and we'll append a tab for consultations. Now the first one is going to be associated with value 1 or page 1, comments page 2, consultations page 3. Now I'm going to drop an image into here. Go to PNG, and I want for this one the ID card. So we'll go OK to that. For comments, we'll have the note edit, I think it was. We'll have that one. And then for consultations, we'll grab our doctor one. Again, not particularly great images, but that should be fine. So we just click OK, and then we get some nice pictures that have come into our tab control, and that all looks quite nice. We can obviously look through the different properties that we've got available to us to see whether we want to change anything in here. So I think the layout's fine, and our appearance, we could change the background color if we wanted to. I'm happy with the color that we've got. The foreground color's fine. It's absolutely fine there. So it's not multi-line, so we'll leave that as false. And the tab alignment I'm going to leave as top, but you could put them on the left if you wanted to. You could put them on the right, you could put them on the bottom. It doesn't really make sense in ours, so I'm just going to leave that as top. Images we don't want to worry about. Behavior, all of those things I think we're absolutely fine to leave exactly as they are. We've got quite a nice little functional control there. Right, so there are a few more things that we can do to our form at this stage. So at the moment on page 2 we've just got this silly label in here, so let's get rid of that and we'll drop into here an edit box. Now you don't want to drop the control actually onto the tab control, just drop it on the form and then move it up to wherever you want it to be located. So I think probably about there. We'll then resize the control. So I think that is fine. And then for this control we need to set the data binding. Now there is another way of doing it which is easier. So if I'm going to delete that, if we go to data bound controls and we grab an edit box from here, and now we get prompted for the dictionary item that we want to associate this with, which is going to be comments. And my advice would be to always do this. It gives you the label, and we don't actually want the label on this occasion, but it gives you the label, so it saves you a whole lot of time and trouble by using the data bound controls. Whoops. So I'm just going to drag this across to fit nicely on my tab control, and we should be done for that one. I think I'm going to leave it with the scroll bar, so I don't think there's anything else in here. We don't want any text on there. The tooltip we could put into here. So this if you wanted a tooltip could be I will just call this notes. This control is used for general notes about the patient, so not consultation notes but just general notes, and we'll have that as an information and just leave the styling as it is. Happy with all of the layouts and things. If we were going to allow our user to resize this window, then we might want to set the auto size width and height accordingly. I don't want it on all pages because we just want it to show on page 2. The appearance is fine, and we've had the option to change the edge style if we wish to, so it defaults to sunken, but we could change that to single if we wanted to, or none. I'm just going to leave it as sunken. The text alignment, I think left will be fine. We've got left, center and right, so left makes sense. The scroll bars are vertical, and we could turn on horizontal if we wanted to, but I don't want them. I want them to scroll up and down but not left and right. And we can force them to be higher, upper or lower case, or mixed. Mixed is absolutely fine. So you find very often that the properties that are set by default are normally pretty good for what you need. Right, so let's come on to page number 3, and for page number 3 we want to add in an edit table, and we get prompted for the column which is app ID. I can get rid of the label, and what I want to do is I want to get this control in exactly the same position as the edit box on the previous control on the previous page. So we want left 20 and top 108. So we'll go left 20 and top 108, and then we need the width, which I think was 720. Yes, it is. So we change that to 720, and I'm not too worried about the height for the moment, so we'll leave that as it is. But what I do need, and this time this isn't data bound, I need another edit box which we're going to drop onto this form, and we need that to be positioned to the left of that one, and we'll just take that Actually, we won't come down that far. We'll just drop this down a little bit. And we will make that the same width. And then we can just bring our edit table down a little bit. So we can play around with that a little bit later on. Basically what's going to happen here is when we click on the patient details at the top here, or the consultations, we're going to get some additional text in the bottom. Okay, so on the edit table, we need to go into our columns, and for the text one there, that's not a great description, so we'll change that to ID. We'll go OK, and we will append another column, and this is going to be date. We'll click OK, and then we'll append another one which is time, and we'll append another one which is summary. So that's all fine. We'll change the text alignment to center left for each of these. Like so. And I think for the text alignment for the headings, we'll just have those as centered. So rather than top center, we'll actually have them in the middle. For no real reason, just because that's what I like. Okay, so for the summary, we will set that to auto size, and for the ID, that's currently quite wide, so I think we'll change that to 80, and I think the date we'll have as 100, and the summary, the time, we'll have that as 100. I think we will leave that as it is at the moment. We'll look at these conversions and validations and everything else when we come back to that later. Now they look a little bit wide to me, so what I'm just going to do is come into here for a second while I'm here, and we'll change this one to 50, and we'll change the date to 80, and we'll change the time to 80 as well. I mean, we can play around with this later. We don't need to be doing this right now, but while I'm here, I'll change the header height to 24 and the row height to 22, and we'll just turn the row stripe on. And the scroll bars, I'm going to choose the vertical, and I'm going to have that to always show. Okay, so our form is starting to look quite nice now. We still have the issue with these rogue controls down here, so I'm not going to resize the window for the moment. But now when we test run, oh, did you notice there? I'll just go back. We had a compilation failed, so there is a column not found in the MP patients, so I have an issue. And if we come down to here, I suspect that we've got an issue where, okay, I know what this is. So the ID, we've got a column. Date, we haven't defined one, so I'm going to change that to app date. We'll change time to app time. We'll change summary to app summary, and we'll OK that. And I think while we are here, I think we're probably good. We'll just test run that, and I think we got it properly compiled this time. So as we click across, then you start to see all of the proper controls as we want them. Okay, so that's basically how we set up and operate the tab control. We still probably need to work a little bit on some of these controls. So for instance, we might want to take the tab control out slightly wider so that we've got a nice even border all the way around it. And if you start to do that, just go back through all of the pages and make sure that things are still lined up. You've got to be minded that you are on different pages, so just be careful. So in the next lesson, I think we'll probably be looking at getting this image path and thing working, but we have still got some more tidying up to do, but I think that's good enough for today. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next lesson. Take care. Bye bye.